What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another preview, but not just any preview. It is the North London derby this weekend. Tottenham against Arsenal, 2 o'clock kickoff at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday, which promises to be a ferocious atmosphere. The fans need to be up for it. The players need to be up for it. It is our time to end Arsenal's season once and for all and get that title firmly away from, I was going to say North London, but it's pretty much South London at this point. They sing North London forever before every single home game, which I think is a bit disingenuous to their fans, to our fans, to everyone involved in North London. But look, it's a big, big day on Sunday. Even regardless of the title race, it's always a big game, even if there's nothing on the line.
Of course, we've been mid-table, just trying to get a point off them in years gone by, and there's always been a massive game, so there's always pride on the line, but this definitely means a lot. People saying this is the biggest North London derby in years. Do you reckon it's bigger than the one back a couple of years ago under Conte when we had to fight for top four?
I mean, they try and make their narratives. I mean, they say it's the biggest North London derby for years, like every single time there's just something to play for, but... I mean, I speak to a lot of Arsenal fans and they think the title's already gone. I don't know if they're just trying to play it down a little bit, but they are top of the league. They're going to go into this game top of the league. So is it the biggest...
We've got City to play as well, so it's not completely gone, even if we get something out of this game.
Yeah, so is it the biggest North London derby in years? I'm not so sure, just because only one team essentially has something to play for, in my opinion. But 2 years ago, it was Spurs and Arsenal going head-to-head for the same goal. I think that one was a bit bigger.
100%, I agree with you. And I think that's always going to be bigger when we're literally going up against them, and whoever won that game meant who was going to get top four. So I think that was a bit bigger. But
the prize on the line is a bit bigger this time, though, for Arsenal.
For Arsenal winning the Premier League, yeah, sure. But and they go a long way to maybe... towards that goal. But even if they do beat us, it's still not in their hands, is it? They still need City to slip up, and they need to be perfect after that. So, still a lot to play for even after this game. But if we can give them one of the daggers in their heart for their title race, quite with a few games to go, that'll be so sweet. You saw how much it meant to Everton in midweek, doing the same to Liverpool, although they're obviously battling for survival. It shows how teams can up their game in these kind of situations, and I think we got to take inspiration from that and make sure that we're not allowing Arsenal to play for us like we were allowed Newcastle and Fulham to play for us so easily, and we just got to make sure we're really up for this game, but I've got no doubt about we will be.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, it's just, don't get it twisted, this game always just means so much, and I really hope that Ange has drilled into the players just how much this game means, and they'll know how much it means as soon as they step foot in that stadium. Not even step foot in that stadium, but just get on the high road before the game. They'll see exactly what this game means.
Just annoying that it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
they
want to decrease the drinking time, don't they?
Yeah, if it was in the evening though, I think the high road would be more packed. You might get a few more things.
Don't you worry, the high road is going to be packed.
I hope so.
Straight from 10 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, whatever time the pub's open, there'll be fans there. But look, we're going to go into predicted lineup, to match preview, and then we've got a tactical board as well to get through. But let's start off talking about the predicted lineup going into this massive North London derby. In terms of the injury news coming into this, what have we got?
Yes, obviously Doggy is out for the season. He had a injury in training, which means he's had to have surgery. Came out of nowhere, really, took everyone by surprise. So big shock there, but he's not going to be available for this game. Ollie Skip has a minor injury and he's going to be missing this weekend, but not thought to be too serious. And those add on to the long-term absentees of Sonneman, Sessegnon and Fraser Forster, who are not going to be seen until next season at the earliest. So some of them maybe not even ever again, but we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the injury news going into this one.
Yeah, Ange said that Udoki's injury was an unfortunate training ground incident. I mean, with the North London derby coming up, can't they just go easy on each other just in the build up to that? Come on. But it's a massive loss for us, Destiny Udoki. But let's get into this predicted lineup. 4-3-3 as per usual. In goal is going to be Vicario, and there's been a lot of debates coming into this. Who's been the better keeper this year, Vicario or David Raya?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Vicario has a good argument to say it's been him. I do think he's a better shot stopper than Raya. I think Raya, that's something he can struggle at sometimes, I feel like. I don't think he's the best shot stopper, especially from range. I think he gets caught out quite a bit. But I think given his recent good form rare. He's got really good stature from set pieces. He's got obviously really good ability with his kicking. I think a lot of people praise Vicario's kicking, but I think his technique is still not quite there yet. Even when they're accurate, it's not like they're not like right onto a player's chest or feet. Sometimes it's just good in the general direction. Needs to improve his technique, whereas Raya, he's a much better passer of the ball, I feel. So whether we got the better deal still remains to be seen, but Vicario, I'm still very happy with him, and I think he's had a great season, and he's going to have an important game because you know how Arsenal are from set pieces. They're very, very good, so he's going to have to be on it.
Yeah, that's a massive cause for concern for me, the set pieces, but I guess where Vicario is really going to earn his money this weekend is the shot stopping, and he's been great at that all season. So Vicario in goal. Right back, it was touch and go if he could make it or not, but Pedro Porro is back in the frame as confirmed by Ange Postecoglou. Yeah,
crucial. So important to the way we play. I think he's so important to our build-up as well. He's going to have a busy afternoon. He's going to have to make sure he's contributing in the final third in as well. He's going to have to make sure Martinelli or Trossard, whoever plays on left wing, is not getting the joy that especially Trossard has in recent weeks. He's in great form, Trossard. He's been very kind of efficient for Arsenal in recent weeks. Been one of the players who keeps getting the opening goal. Got the opening goal against Wolves, got the opening goal against Chelsea. So he's clearly been quite an important player for them recently. So he's got to make sure he's keeping him quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of how he can impact us on the ball and really hurting Arsenal, it was imperative that he was going to play.
Definitely, because if you have Emerson there, all of a sudden that's just like another player in the build-up who's not going to help us progress the ball up. And with Porro now there and available, and he's got quality and has got good set-piece delivery as well, it's crucial that he was available for this game.
Right centre-back, we're obviously going to look at Cuti Romero. Last time we had a big London derby at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, he did lose his head a little bit, getting sent off in that 4-1 defeat to Chelsea in the very early stages of the season. But ever since then, I think he has kept his cool and he's been a standout performer for Spurs, so Cuti Romero.
Yeah, and if it's going to be Kai Havertz up front, it's going to be very interesting, that kind of battle, because Havertz is quite a strong
physical player.
Yeah. Albeit, he's not on like the physicality levels of like a, I don't know, Awioni or someone, or Haaland even. But he's got a tall stature, big frame, and he does have a bit about him. So he's got to have to make sure, because obviously I don't think Havertz is a massive threat running in behind. But he's got to have to make sure that when Havertz gets the ball into feet, he's on him like a rash, like we know he is. And if Romero's playing at his best and he's pinching the ball of Havertz, that goes a long way to making sure that Arsenal aren't able to stay in attacks and we can win the ball off them. Havertz has done a really good job recently, shielding the ball, bringing other players into play, and also just being on that kind of half turn and getting in on goal as well. I think Romero's got a crucial role here to make sure that Havertz is kept quiet.
Yeah, and he's also a player that can get under your skin a little bit. He draws a lot of fouls. He gives away a lot of fouls as well, Kai Havertz. So I think it's really important that Romero doesn't get drawn into that and just keeps his cool for the game. Next up is Mickey van der Ven at left centre-back. We all know what he can bring to the game, and he's just going to be imperative.
Yeah, he's going to be vital. Obviously, I think he's going to have to help out Ben Davies, Bukayo Saka on that side. I depending on who Arsenal play up front, like if with the passes in behind or balls over the top, I don't think he's going to be worried too much about Kai Havertz, but I definitely think Saka is definitely someone he's going to be worried about. He's so good at finding those little pockets of space in behind. And getting in on the back line. So I think Van der Ven might have to come over on some points, but he's got to make sure he times it to perfection, because if he comes over and doesn't win the ball, there's going to be all that space for Arsenal to exploit, and maybe that's what they want. So it's a difficult tactical battle to make sure we're getting the best use out of him. But when it comes to a striker getting on the end of something over the top, I don't think he's too worried about Havertz doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then to make up that back four at left back for the injured Destiny Udogie, we've got Ben Davies at left back, and that is clearly the weak link in that back four.
Yeah, he's going to have to up his game. It's a massive game for Ben Davies. I'm not worried about him, giving his all, being positionally in the right position. I think defensively as well, he is a good defender. I'm just worried about him having to defend large bits of space. I'm worried about him if he is playing that inverted role, taking the ball with minimal space and, trying to progress us up the pitch and turning like Udogie can, running up the pitch. I don't think he's obviously got that in him. But he's got to be a bit smarter, which is what Davis usually is. So hopefully he can really turn up in this one.
Yeah, I just really hope that he kind of focuses on the defensive aspect aspect of the game, because we know when Destiny Udogie plays in that position and the way Ange Postecoglou likes to deploy his fullbacks, they forage up the pitch, they become two number 10s in that area of the pitch. I don't think that's Davis's game, so I'd prefer him just to err on the side of caution more in this game.
Me too, and that's what I hope he does, but we'll have to wait and see.
So that's the back four. In terms of the number 6, we are sticking with Yves Bissouma, and I do worry for him in this game with the midfielders that he is coming up against. You know, the likes of Jorginho, the likes of Declan Rice, the likes of Martin Odegaard, all 3 of them on massive form.
Yeah, and whoever we play, you could give the same problem with, because none of our midfielders are really on the best form at the moment. So that's something we're just going to have to contend with. Hopefully, you can take inspiration of how we played at the Emirates earlier in the season, and maybe watch that game back and see if we can kind of get that level of performance back, because he was very good in that game and really bossed it, especially in that second half. So obviously, I remember we did have our struggles in the first half as well, and he did especially, but hopefully this 2-week break would have done him well, and it's not going to be an easy game, but if we're going to win this game, we need our Bissouma at his very best. So we're going to make sure he's taking the ball in the half-turn, he's taking risk, he's playing with confidence, and that's just what we're going to have to hope for. Yeah,
and that was it in the first game, right? Because in the first half of that game at the Emirates, Declan Rice was playing. The second half, he got taken off because of an injury, and that's when Bissouma came alive. So when he was actually up against Declan Rice, he did struggle a little bit in that first half.
He had already got into the game with like 10 minutes to go into the second half, or maybe into the first half, sorry. So maybe maybe it's because Rice had an injury potentially and he dropped off a bit, but Bissouma was gaining an influence even in the first half. So let's hope he takes inspiration from that.
Next up, in the number 8, we're going to look at Pape Matar Sarr. I don't think he's maybe performing as he was in the early stages of the season, but in terms of what he can bring you, the legs he brings to midfield, he as well could be vitally important for us.
Yeah, we think he's going to come in for Bentancur, who just hasn't quite done it when he's come in. Although, I think on the ball, we're seeing signs of Bentancur getting back to his best. He's still clearly off the pace, off the ball, in my opinion. He's still not able to get around the pitch in the same way he used to. So until that happens, obviously Sarr not in the best of form, but hopefully again this little break will have done him well. He can get his energy back. He was struggling with a back injury, wasn't he? And hopefully he's overcome that now. And he covers so much ground. He can be so intense. So I think he's going to be a very important player for this one.
To make up that midfield 3 will be James Maddison, who as well himself not really on the best of form, but you cast your mind back to the Emirates, he really took authority that game, took responsibility that game, and played. He was he man of the match? I can't remember, but he was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, with 2 assists, absolutely ruining Saka for one of the goals as well. So we need him in that kind of mode this weekend.
Definitely, it's going to be very important that Maddison adds that bit of magic to the midfield that we've been missing in recent weeks. You saw how important Odegaard can be for that Arsenal team. We need Maddison to start providing those sort of moments for us, which in recent weeks it just hasn't really happened for him. I do think it's more of a case of form is temporary, class is permanent with Maddison. I'm sure he'll get back to it, but it hasn't quite happened recently. He's going to have a big job getting away from the likes of Rice and whoever, Jorginho or Partey, whoever they do play in the centre, but he's got the quality to do it, so it's on him to step up in this game.
Yeah, so a midfield 3 of Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison. On the right hand side of the attack, we are going to go for Dejan Kulusevski. Recently had a child on his birthday, and hopefully he can take that kind of spirit into this game, because he hasn't been playing well. So I think the main reason why we've picked him for this game is his ability to keep the ball.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be so crucial against this Arsenal side. Also, they do play left back. It could be Zinchenko, or probably going to be Tomiyasu on that right hand side, and he's a strong defender, and he's someone who's going to confront you. And I just feel like if Johnson's playing, when Tomiyasu's getting stuck into him, it's going to be a lot harder for Johnson to keep the ball, whereas Decky can ride a few challenges and bring other players into play. So we're thinking Decky, maybe spurred on by the birth of his child, could have a much better display as well. I thought he was a bit better against Newcastle last time out when he came on as well. So we're going to go with him to start. We know Decky on the right can cause some problems for Spurs, but hopefully in this game it can solve some as well.
Up front in the number 9 is obviously going to be Heung-min Son. Richarlison is back fit, as Ange Postecoglou has confirmed, but we are sticking with Heung-min Son just to get the most lethal finisher in the Premier League close to the goal.
Yeah, and the way Arsenal play, we're going to need that threat in behind. We're going to need someone who's able to stretch Arsenal. With Gabriel and Saliba being in great form, you need someone who at least threatens to hurt them in behind. And Richarlison doesn't quite do that. We know Son does. Son has a great record against Arsenal. He's a great record against the top 3. He scored 2 at the Emirates earlier in the season. So I think if anyone's going to hurt Arsenal, I think it is going to be Sonny.
And to make up that final 11, we are going for Brennan Johnson out on the left-hand side. He did start on the left-hand side at the Emirates, went off early in the second half due to an injury. So he gets another crack at the whip this time.
Yeah, and also in our last good performance, really, or better, he started on the left against Villa. So we know he can do it. Yes, it's going to be difficult getting past Ben White in the form he's in, but as well, I also think the way Arsenal play, they leave 2 at the back, and if we can have a dual threat in behind of Johnson and Son looking to score goals in that way, I think that could really help us hurt Arsenal. So we're thinking Johnson on the left here.
All right, so let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. This is our predicted lineup to end Arsenal's title hopes. It's Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro right back, Ben Davis left back, Cuti Romero and Mickey van der Ven in the centre-back positions, Bissouma, Pape Matar, James Maddison midfield, with Dejan Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson and Heung-min Son up top. So that is our predicted lineup. Let us know in the comment section below, do you agree with our lineup? If not, put your lineups in the comments section.